This is 3 News Daily.
Hello everyone and welcome to 3 News Daily on this Monday, April 3rd. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and WKYC Plus. And we start with developing news out of Geauga County. A West Geauga High School student was arrested this morning for bringing a gun into school. Police tell 3 News the school went into lockdown while officers searched the building. There was no threat made, but students were sent home and classes were dismissed for the day. There are extra police right now at the middle and elementary schools, and authorities are still investigating this situation. Now this morning, Governor Mike DeWine addressed the new statewide distracted driving law, which goes into effect tomorrow. The governor warned drivers to put phones down because starting tomorrow, now you can be pulled over for using or holding your phone while behind the wheel. This is because distracted driving will now be considered a primary offense. That means that officers don't have to pull you over for something else first in order to cite you for using your phone while driving.
Local law enforcement officers, as well as the Ohio State Highway Patrol, who witness anyone manipulating their cell phone while driving can immediately initiate a traffic stop before that driver can cause a crash.
Now, there's a 6-month grace period that starts tomorrow. That means violators will be let go with a warning, and then police will start issuing tickets under this new law on October 4th. Governor DeWine also announced that the state is launching a public awareness campaign to help educate drivers on this new law. That brings us to our question of the day. What do you think is the biggest distraction while driving? Is it cell phones or is it something else? Head to our WKYC Facebook page and let us know, and we'll have your answers coming up on What's New at 4 o'clock. To New York City now, where security is ramping up ahead of former President Donald Trump's historic indictment. With the possibility of huge crowds and protests tomorrow, streets are being locked down. All 35,000 New York police officers are on alert. The Secret Service and the FBI are on the ground as well and will be until the president leaves New York.
You see the preparations being laid out here for blocks around. In terms of barriers, barrier trucks, and increased enforcement that's only going to ratchet up in the days to come.
Now, Trump has called for this trial to be moved out of New York, claiming he won't get a fair trial in Manhattan while he's expected to be making his way there now from Florida. Trump is expected to say at Trump Tower ahead of his arraignment. Tomorrow afternoon, he's expected to surrender to authorities. He'll go through the criminal booking process, then stand before a judge to face multiple charges in the case involving hush money paid to former adult film star Stormy Daniels after an alleged affair. He's expected to make a public address back in Florida sometime late tomorrow. We do have a special edition of Legally Speaking coming out on WKYC Plus, breaking down the multiple investigations into the former president, so be on the lookout for that. Now to a warning from Cleveland police. They say be on the lookout for people posing as police officers. There have been at least 4 incidents in the last month where individuals use red and blue strobe lights to trick drivers into thinking they're being pulled over by police and then rob them at gunpoint. Suspects are said to be using a dark SUV, wearing ballistic gear, and carrying guns. Police say you can call 911 to confirm if an officer is attempting to pull you over. Now today, a Cleveland teen is recovering after being shot in the leg near the Zelmad Watson George Rec Center. Police say it happened near 116th and Dickens Avenue yesterday afternoon. The teen was shot in the inner thigh, and we know they were taken to Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospital. At this time, we don't know how he's doing or if police have arrested anyone. A Nordonia high school teacher will be back on the job next week after previously being suspended for saying a racial slur during class. In a statement by Nordonia schools, they say they got feedback from students and parents while they were investigating the incident, and the teacher will return to the classroom on April 10th following spring break. Nordonia schools say they've also partnered with the Diversity Center of Northeast Ohio to help create a safe and inclusive environment in schools. Now this weekend, storms severely damaged a church in Geauga Falls that's nearly 200 years old. The wind blew the roof off of Pilgrim United Church, but church services weren't interrupted. The church members were joined with parishioners at First Christian Church.
Even though something rather catastrophic happened down the road, we were able to worship on short notice 2 blocks away.
That is a sign of a community coming together. Now, right now, we are not sure when parishioners will be able to get back into Pilgrim United Church of Christ. But it was a peaceful weekend in Geauga County after drag events at a church went off without incident, thankfully. Protesters did gather outside of where a drag brunch was being held in Chardon, but the rainy weather drove most of them off. Later, a drag story hour was held at the Community Church of Chesterland that also went off without incident. The pastor there said they could not have asked for a better result from the day. Now, in other news, a GoFundMe for the Amherst bus driver whose rant is all over the internet is growing. You might remember this video of Jackie Miller, who resigned after she was recorded going off on students last week. Well, a GoFundMe in her honor has raised more than $36,000 in 3 days. Miller told us last week that a group of kids have been constantly acting out, and what you saw in the video was her final straw. Now, I know one thing. If my dad had seen that video, the first thing he would have asked me was, what were you doing that made that happen? Now, while the bus driver apologizes for what happened, she says she won't take it back, and it looks like she can take that to the bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Artemis II crew.
All right, we have an exciting announcement from NASA. We now know the 4 astronauts that will be aboard the Artemis II mission. 3 Americans, 2 men and a woman, and 1 Canadian will be on the 10-day test flight in late 2024. NASA says the mission will pave the way for lunar surface missions, including landing the first woman and the first person of color on the moon. If that was a surf mission, that'd be very interesting on the moon, but that's not what's happening. It's a surface mission. Thanks for joining us for 3 News Daily today. We hope you have a wonderful Monday. We'll see you back here tomorrow with more of your top stories from around Northeast Ohio.